Welcome back to Tales. I apologize for the lousy microphone, but I'm on vacation and not at home and not able to use the proper stuff. But things have been going on down in Ukraine, so I thought I had to make a video nonetheless. So what has been going on? Well, we've been receiving some news and information about the Swedish CV90's taking part in combat down in Ukraine. We have seen official statements from Ukraine on Twitter and in newspapers. We've heard rumors of Ukraine wanting to purchase CV90's and lots of other stuff. CV90's dodging incoming tank weapons and even CV90's destroying tanks. So we'll take a closer look at it. Christ almighty, this microphone is crap. I'm so sorry. But I'm not home. Anyway, what we do know and what seems to have been confirmed is that CV90's are deployed in and around Bakhmut, helping out with liberating the territories surrounding this famous city, and that is currently being held by Russia. Which is interesting since for the past couple of days we've heard rumors or gotten news that Ukraine has made a lot of gains surrounding Bakhmut, taking ground and moving closer to the city itself, through fields, forests, and hills that are vital in order to threaten the actual city. So it appears as if the CV90's are actually pushing back Russia pretty hard by the looks of it. Now, as we move on, take a look at the camouflage map here on the CV90's, because that will be important in our next segment. So what we have seen in a video released by Russia is a Russian drone tracking what appears to be a Swedish CV90. It's a bit hard to make out, but let's assume it's a CV90 that I marked here with the blue circle. It's following this road, and the road is overhead, and reaching this crossroad here that I marked with a yellow line as a point of reference. We can see that the CV90 takes a left and enters into these trees to find cover. Now, there's a second vehicle marked with the purple circle, as you can see, and it's right next to the CV90. And the CV90 moves into the trees, continues taking a left, driving past the purple vehicle and into the tree line here. And the Russian drone follows the CV90. And what Russia does is call in, apparently, from what I've been told, or what we've been told online, Russia calls in an true strike with an anti-tank round that is a heat seeker, and what it does is locks on to the wrong vehicle and not the CV90. As you can see here, you have the vehicle marked with purple, close to the crossroad, marked with a yellow line. This small patches of trees, and that is where the artillery strike hits. And looking at previous images, we can see that the CV90 is moving away from this location where the strike lands. So the CV90 that Russia was tracking did not get hit. What vehicle that was hit is unclear. It's a bit difficult to see here with all the trees, but according to reports, that was not a CV90.
and that vehicle was apparently damaged, not destroyed, but it was the vehicle that was targeted in the end. And the reason is the camouflage we pointed out earlier. That is Barracuda camouflage, made by the Swedish company Saab, that also makes the M-Law and the Gripen fighter jet and all kinds of stuff. What the Barracuda camouflage does, it hides the vehicle or the tent or whatever it is from weapons that rely on thermal imaging to find its target. Heat signatures, in other words. So the CV90, the CV90's that Sweden have given to Ukraine all have Barracuda camouflage. And it worked perfectly in this case. The munitions that Russia sent in relies on thermals to find its target. It could not see the CV90 and instead went for the target that was not protected by Barracuda, whatever this vehicle now is, and that vehicle got hit. So, no, Russia did not destroy a CV90 in this case, as they claim. The CV90 was equipped with Barracuda camouflage that fully protected it from thermal guiding munitions. So yeah, CV90 got away and Russia missed the intended target. Besides this incident, Ukraine has released a couple of videos of the CV90. On the left-hand picture here, that's a video of Ukrainian troops having a quiet evening or morning on their CV90s. I can't remember situations like this, moments like this, from conscription. So I was in the CV90 myself all those years ago, and yeah. Nice vehicle to rest in, I have to say. The other video we've seen lately is of a CV90 approaching the remains of a Russian tank, completely burned out. If it was a CV90 that took it out, I don't know, something destroyed it, and good riddance. Good job, Ukraine, get those bastards. A third video that has been released of late that is, I don't know how accurate it is, but it is claimed that it shows a CV90 destroying a Russian tank. I don't know, I mean, I can hardly see what the vehicle is there in the tree line. In the video, it gets hit by something that causes a massive explosion. And if that is a CV90 hitting it, I mean that 40mm round must have hit perfectly straight into the fuel tank or into the ammunition or whatever it is, because a CV90 striking a target with a single round does not cause that kind of explosion. That is an anti-tank missile or whatever, or maybe a CV90 managed to punch through the armor and hit something that quite easily goes boom. So I'm skeptical that a CV90 caused this kind of damage, but I guess it's possible. But yeah, this video has been released and this is what it shows, so yeah, make of that what you will. So yeah, what can we make of what we've heard from Ukraine? Well, from what little we know, it appears as if the CV90s are in combat and they are performing as expected. We've seen official statements calling the Swedish battalion one of the best armed combat brigades in Europe. CV90's, SLV-122s, and Archers. That is a lot of sophisticated firepower that Ukraine now has at its disposal, and apparently it is doing its intended job, killing the enemy without issue. And some more evidence that CV90s are doing really well is the fact that we've seen an interest from Ukraine together with the Czechs and Slovaks to purchase a huge number of CV90s. The figure 1,000 has been mentioned, but I mean, how likely is that? I don't know, but it appears as if Ukraine wants more of these, which should indicate that in this brief time they have been properly impressed by these vehicles and their capabilities. So yeah, I mean, all in all, we know vehicles are in combat. They are in combat in an area where Ukraine is currently gaining a lot of ground. Ukraine has shown interest in purchasing more of these, not just borrowing or lending them, purchasing them by the hundreds. And looking at official statements from Ukrainian military personnel and so on, they are pleased and impressed by these vehicles. So the CV90s, they appear to be so far a force to be reckoned with. And this has been one of the main things when talking about CV90s and comparing them to Warriors or Bradleys or other Western vehicles. It's that they haven't seen enough action, even though they've been to Afghanistan and stuff like that. They haven't been tested in proper war like the other vehicles. Never mind that, you test these vehicles every day, every year to see how they perform, but none of that. Now we have that level of testing that people have requested, and we can see that the CV90s are indeed performing at a level that it appears that other vehicles are struggling to keep along. Not keep along, keep up with, I mean, sorry for that. And yeah, because, I mean, we don't see Ukraine wanting to purchase other vehicles in these numbers. That must account for something, that the other vehicles, they just can't keep up with the CV90s. And we find some interesting notes here in an article written by the Kiev Post on what Sweden did in training the Ukrainians. It wasn't just how to operate the vehicles. Sweden also trained the infantry supposed to ride along in armored infantry, whereas we call it in Sweden Panzerskytte. And this is close to my heart because this is what I did as a conscript. I was a Panzerskytte squad leader. So CV90s and storming, as we call it in Sweden, with CV90s and fighting from the vehicles and fighting dismounted. I have fond memories of that training. That was fun. Lots of shooting. Obviously, it won't be as fun in real life doing it in a war, but the training meant a lot of shooting. And so yeah, it appears as if Ukraine has been taught Swedish tactics in how to use the vehicles and how to fight dismounted together with the vehicles. And we can read here, as the Kiev Post points out, that the Stridsfordon 9040, CV9040, is a fighting vehicle designed to carry infantry in assaults, and that is key. You see, a Bradley is or a warrior, they're troop transports meant to support infantry. This is not what a CV90 does. It's an assault vehicle. It's supposed to drive your troops all the way into the enemy line. And there you dismount and fight, basically point blank. And this is a tactic that Sweden worked hard on and developed during the 60s. And it was directly copied from German panzer grenadiers of World War II. So this is a battle-tested, battle-proven, and a working combat concept. This is the essence of blitzkrieg, more or less. And continuing here, we see that the CV90 is highly mobile, battle-tested weapon, and heavily armored, more than Russian designs, and firepower is superior to Russian designs, but also practically all NATO standard armored personnel carriers, such as the Brad, such as the Warrior, such as anything. The CV90 is a deadly piece of kit. And moving on, we can see that the Swedish training focused on constructing defensive works and stuff like that, but also assaulting fortifications and obstacles. And this is what the CV90 and armored infantry Panzerskytte excels at. The enemy is fortified, they're dug in, they're holding a position. How do you defeat that? Well, you charge, is the Swedish doctrine. You fight them in their own line. You don't sit at a distance and try to outshoot them because they are entrenched. They have cover. You cannot find better cover than a guy that has built himself a trench or a foxhole or is inside of a building. He has the advantage in a shootout. So you need to move up to him and hunt him down where he's standing. And that is what the CV90 is supposed to do. That is what Panzerskytte, armored infantry, is supposed to do. And it appears as if Ukraine has been taught these Swedish tactics. And this can all be boiled down to aggressive maneuvering, tactical flexibility, and firepower. Firepower, and even more firepower, because you need to suppress the enemy if he is in a defensive position. You need to make sure that he does not shoot back. That means applying firepower onto his head with a 40mm automatic cannon, with mortars, and with machine guns, with your troops standing in the hatches of the vehicle firing machine guns. And all of this suppression pins the enemy in place, he can't shoot back, and at the same time you move up to and into his position. And by the time he can stick his head out of his foxhole, he has a CV90 right in front of him and 6 very angry enemy soldiers with machine guns all aiming their weapons at him. And that's when this Panzerskytte, the armored infantry, goes in for the kill. Now, Sweden has a specific tactic called gå på marsch for this. It is centuries old. It was first used by the Carolingians in the early years of the 18th century during the Great Northern War, where they would, with muskets, march basically up to the enemy army without shooting and fire point blank, ignoring the initial volleys by the enemy. They would march all the way up to the enemy army. Instead of shooting at a distance, fire point blank and then charge it with bayonets. And this is something Sweden has relied on ever since it was used in the Winter War, with Swedish soldiers fighting for Finland charged into superior Soviet numbers with bayonets and defeated them, forced them. There's an incident of a Swedish company forcing a Russian battalion to retreat with a bayonet charge. And Sweden relied on this in Congo, They got ambushed with UN soldiers, and they decided the best way to get out of this ambush was to advance into the enemy line and force them off the battlefield, which they did. So, and obviously armored infantry, Panzerskytte, their essence is gå på marsch, of advancing up to and into the enemy line and there seek combat. Not shooting at a distance. You go all the way into the enemy line, into his trenches, into his defensive positions, and fight him there, not at a distance. So this should give you a feel for what this Ukrainian battalion of CV90's has been trained to do, what it is supposed to do. Now, obviously, Russia has mined everything to hell and back, the kingdom come, and, you know, I think there's more mines than rocks in Ukraine at the moment, which obviously makes these kind of assaults difficult, if not impossible. Yet we have seen videos from Ukraine of Ukrainian forces successfully moving up with 1 or 2 armored vehicles to Russian positions, dismount directly into combat, and opening fire as soon as they step outside their vehicle, suppressing the enemy with massive amounts of firepower, which is exactly what armored infantry, Panzerskytte, is all about. And then gaining ground into the tree line and hunting down the Russians. So yeah, give these guys some Swedish MLAWs, some Swedish Carl Gustaf, some Swedish AT4s, and backed up by a 40mm automatic cannon from hell. I think the Ukrainians are ready to rock and roll, and I think we're seeing evidence of that in and around Bakhmut with Russia falling back the way they have. So that's it. That's all I have for you tonight. Sorry for the lousy microphone. Like I said, I'm not at home where I have the proper stuff. But with all this stuff getting leaked from Ukraine about these Swedish vehicles and their performance, I just had to make a video nonetheless. So, yeah. We'll see if there's another video soon. I don't know, might happen. Apologies in advance for the large microphone if I do make another video here. And, yeah. Gå på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell. Till Valhalla.